This is a brief overview of arithmetic sequences. Arithmetic sequences happen when you start with a number and then continuously add the same number to it to get the other terms in the sequence. There's two ways of writing an arithmetic sequence. The first is a recursive formula. There's two pieces to the recursive formula. The first is that you have to tell what the first term is, and that's what this a sub 1 equals blank is. Okay, this is saying the first term is this number. The second part is a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d. Now that a sub n and that a sub n minus 1 will always be there, okay, but that d is standing for a common difference. So pretty much anything that's just in black, okay, is going to be there in the formula. Anything that's highlighted in yellow will be replaced with a number. And what this bottom line is saying is that the nth term, okay, meaning if you're finding the fourth term, a sub 4 would mean the fourth term, or a sub 10 would be the 10th term. Okay, so n just represents whatever term in the sequence you're talking about. But in order to find that term that you're looking at, you're going to take the term before it and add the common difference to it. Okay, this one's not super helpful if you're trying to find the numbers that are pretty far out in the sequence, because you don't want to find the 100th term by finding the 99th and adding, but then really you need the 98th and then the 97th, and you really have to go back and start at the beginning just to work your way all the way back up to 100. That seems silly. Okay, but if you're dealing with some smaller terms, like the fourth term, then this is definitely a way that you could do that. For the explicit formula, once again, the things in black will always be there. The things that highlighted in yellow will be replaced by numbers. But the explicit formula says a sub n, meaning whatever term you're looking for, is a sub 1, which is the first term, plus n minus 1 times d, which is the common difference. And really, unfortunately, you kind of just have to memorize these formulas. There's no way around it. You have to know how these two different things look and how to put the numbers in and use them. So some examples. Let's look at 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. Let's start with recursive. So with recursive formula, we first need to identify what the first term is, and in this case, a sub 1 is 4. We should also look to see what that common difference is. Well, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8. So your common difference here is that you're adding 2 every time. So for the second part of the recursive formula, we're going to say a sub n. Okay, I'm going to fix that to make it look a little tinier there, because any of your subscripts should actually look like subscripts. So a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus the common difference, which is 2. And that is your recursive formula. Okay, next for explicit, okay, explicit says a sub n equals a sub 1, which is the first term. In this case, it's 4, plus n minus 1 times d, which is the common difference, which in this case is 2. And now technically that is the explicit formula, but a lot of times you're going to see it ask for it in simplified form. So we're just going to distribute and combine like terms. So when we distribute the 2 to the parentheses, it's 2n minus 2. And then we would combine our like terms together. 4 minus 2 is 2. So it would be a sub n equals 2 plus 2n. Okay, let's look at the other one. We have 9, 4, negative 1, negative 6, negative 11. This one is starting with 9 and then going down by 5 every time. So for recursive, first we state the first term, so a sub 1 equals 9. Then a sub n, the nth term, is a sub n minus 1, the term before it, minus 5, okay, because the common difference is negative 5. For explicit, I'm sorry, should box that up. For explicit, it's a sub n, okay, which equals the first term, which is 9. Remember that plus n minus 1 is always there. And then times the common difference, which is negative 5. Now, if I just wrote it like that, To me, that looks like you would be subtracting 5. When it was a positive number in the first one, it's totally okay to just write the number next to the parentheses. But here we need to put something to show that you're multiplying by that -5, whether it's the parentheses or a dot. So now let's distribute and combine. 9 plus a -5n plus 5. So our explicit formula is a sub n equals 9 plus 5 is 14 minus 5n. Okay, so those are 2 examples of how to actually write the formulas. The other thing you might be asked to do is go back and forth between the 2 different formulas. So the first we're going to look at is going from recursive to explicit. So remember, for explicit, it's a sub n equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, remember, this and this will continue to stay there. We need to figure out that a1 and that d. And luckily, it's pretty easy to do when you are looking at a recursive formula. Okay, so the first one, well, we're going to start with an. A sub 1 is right there. So a sub 1 is -6 plus n minus 1. And in our recursive formula, that number is the common difference. So we're going to say times -4, which means let's simplify. -6 minus 4n plus 4. So a sub n, -6 plus 4 is -2, and it is -2 minus 4n. And lastly, going from explicit to recursive, this one's just a tad bit harder to see. Okay, I'm going to write our general formula here. First, we need to state what the first term is. And then it's going to be a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus the common difference. So for this one, remember, we need to plug in, oops, I didn't want purple, I wanted yellow. We need to plug in a number there for the first term. We need to plug in a common difference over there. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to go back a screen for 1 second because we need to figure out what part of this formula is that common difference. So I'm just going to go back to this one over here, which we had just done. And if we go back over here, the common difference in this one was -4, which we ended up distributing to that parentheses. So that coefficient of that n in that final simplified explicit formula is going to be the common difference of this sequence. So over here, this +3 is actually that common difference. So we know that second part then. So a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 3. And now we need to figure out what the first term is. Okay, and some people get really confused about this, but really, okay, this is a formula. So if we need to find the first term, meaning n is 1, we're just going to plug n in as 1. And then we evaluate. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So to find the first term, you just plug 1 into the formula and figure out what it equals. So a sub 1 is going to equal 5. And here is our final recursive formula.